All right, we're going. We're live. How you doing?
Good. Can't complain. Can't complain. What about you?
I'm good. Just trying to knock out as many of these interviews as I can in the next few days. I'm gonna try to knock out a bunch today.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah, but what's cool is this format of like 10 to 15 minutes is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how people like Sevon do these hour, 2 hour marathons of just talking, and I couldn't do that. So,
No, me either.
are you training today?
Yes. Today's Thursday, so I just do machines. So a classic, like kind of like a Miko's triangle: ski, row, bike. Nothing too crazy.
Is that consistent through the year, or is that just right now for games training?
Consistent through the year. I found
Okay.
that the more machines I do, they hit different than normal workouts. So just nothing too strenuous on the body, but every Thursday is usually machine day.
And then what do you do the rest of the week? Do you have
Monday
other
through Wednesday,
themes?
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday through Wednesday is like classic CrossFit movements. Friday, classic CrossFit. Saturday will be my odd object, sandbag, farmer's carry, all that fun stuff.
Did you grow up swimming, or are you a swimmer?
Yeah, I was actually a lifeguard all through high school and most of college.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
yeah, I never had to save a life, but I could swim. And then I did diving for a season as well.
You, Heather Lawrence from our team, she dove. I see that you qualified. Your first year was 21 for
For
the
the game.
games.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the game. Regionals, I was 2014. So I've been in the sport now for kind of a while.
How'd you get into CrossFit?
I actually was a cheerleading coach, and my boss at the time did CrossFit and was like, "Hey, you would be great at CrossFit because you can flip, you can swim, you can run. Come try it." And then I tried it. My first CrossFit class, fell in love. And then I actually was in high school going to college, so I couldn't afford it. So I went up to the owner and was like, "Hey, I love this CrossFit thing, but I can't afford it." And he's like, "Okay, you can clean the gym in exchange for a membership."
Oh,
So
that's
that's
awesome.
isn't that awesome?
What
Yeah.
gym?
It's called CrossFit Midland. They've since shut down, but the
Okay.
owner of that gym is actually my strength programmer. So like full circle moment.
And where do you train currently? Do you train at an affiliate or at your house?
I train out of my garage.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And who programs
Oh,
for you?
I program my own cardio. Like what I'm going to do today, I program my CrossFit stuff. I program. I do have a strength programmer named Brian. He
Okay.
programs all my like progressions, 4 week cycles, all that fun stuff.
Do you get any coaching or technique work with anyone like while you're working? None?
No. And I actually love it. I've been in the sport since 2012. So
Okay.
I've done CrossFit a lot. I did have the season of my life where I was being coached on Olympic lifting, all this fun stuff. But I've noticed at this level, it's just about efficiency. How can I move from point A to point B faster? I know how to snatch. How can I just build up my glutes and legs to snatch a little bit more?
What would you say is something that you are trying to develop and be better at relative to the field? Like, what do you think? I don't want to say weakness because you finished
Yeah.
third last year, but what do you think needs work?
For me, it's all my cardio. So I
Really?
actually do different stuff. Most people
Yeah.
do their strength and then cardio. I always hit my cardio first and then my strength work because I feel like engine is 90% of the games. We're going to
Yeah.
have one event that's weightlifting. So if you can move faster than everybody else, you'll be relatively okay.
How'd you do on the event last year, the strength event last year?
I actually surprised myself. I think I was top 15, maybe 13th
Okay.
place, which
Okay.
after a 5K run and all that stuff, I was really happy with.
What's your favorite benchmark?
I love Helen. I love
Okay.
Cindy, and Diane is always fun.
Helen, do you remember your time on that?
No, so the last time I did Helen, I was at an affiliate, but I
Okay.
just love that there's nothing limiting. Everybody can run.
Yeah.
Kettlebell swings aren't that hard. It's just like how bad do you want to hurt?
Diane, are you really good at handstand push-ups?
Yeah, I do love a good handstand push-up, and the deadlift is relatively light, so I always loved when it would come out in the open Diane or a version of Diane because that's usually when I could break away from the pack with a little bit of skill.
What and Cindy, did you hear? I interviewed another athlete, and it was Luke Parker actually, and he had
Yeah,
no idea what Cindy was. I had to tell. I
rookie.
had to. I know. I know. I had to explain it to him. That's because he's on TV and stuff. He was on that TV show.
Yeah, exactly. No,
And
hardcore CrossFitters, no.
yeah, exactly. You don't even have to be that hardcore to know.
True, true.
Do you ever go to an affiliate at all now these days, or do you just like ever to just do some sessions or?
Unfortunately, no. I'll take that back. Training for the games the next 4 weekends, I will go to an affiliate because in my garage, there's not a pegboard, there's not a
Okay.
yoke, there's not a taller rope to rope climb on. So there's a few skills I just need to touch before the games. But training alone is so peaceful that at this season of my life, I avoid the affiliate as much as possible because
Yep.
it's just easier.
The it's hard to train alone. Some people, especially standard normal people, I say that normal relative to games athletes,
Yeah.
find a lot of motivation and inspiration going to affiliates.
Yeah.
Finding someone like yourself who is self motivated, that's not the norm. And
Yeah,
can, yeah,
self-motivated. We have work to do. I don't really
yeah,
want to talk. I want to get this work done, clock out of the office.
yeah. I feel that way when I shoot. Like when I go shooting on my shooting range, I'm practicing, I'm training, I'm preparing for something.
Yes.
It's not a social thing for me.
Yeah.
Um,
The last red flag for me whenever I decided to leave the affiliate, I had a 20-minute conversation about mac and cheese. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, if I really want to be serious, I've got to like step away from people. Because you can tighten your belt all you want, but some people just don't get the cues of like, oh, she's trying to lift.
yeah, yeah. And you have how many children?
Just one, a little 5 year
Okay.
old.
And so, what was this? Was there a stat that you were the? Are you? No, you're not the first mother to be on the podium, but
No.
okay. Who else has been on the
Um,
podium? Oh, has Annie? Did Yeah.
Yeah, Annie did. So I guess technically I'm America's Fittest Mom. I have that title because,
Yes.
yeah.
That's
But
cool.
last year was fun because usually I throw around the mom card, like I'm the fittest mom in America. So last year was fun because I didn't have to use the mom card. And I was just like, okay, I'm just the fittest American. I don't need
Yeah.
the mom card
Yeah.
anymore.
That's awesome. And I'm looking at your ranks from the previous 3 years. So 21, 22, 23. Each year you climbed. You were 14th in 21, 11th in 22, and then third in
Yeah.
23.
And that's kind of the only mental thing getting me this year is like, how does it get better than that? You
There's
know?
there's two other spots.
Yeah, exactly. But in my opinion, last season was a perfect season. So I'm like, all I can do is just prepare as best I can. I've already had the perfect season. Let's just go have fun this year and still enjoy it.
I'm looking at the stats that you put on our CrossFit Games info page. 838 5K. That's fast. You're fast. 55 pull-ups.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is
I
now.
imagine these stats are probably a few years old. 215 Fran, 122 Grace, 191 Snatch. What's your Snatch at now?
191.
Okay.
Last year, I don't test maxes unless we're forced to test them. So that was
Yeah.
what I got last year at the games.
If you don't test maxes, like what's the heaviest you go in training? So if 191 is your snatch in a training session, what's the heaviest the heaviest you've gone?
Yeah, here's an example of what my strength guy programmed. He had a complex, so snatch, high pull, hang snatch, 2 overhead squats, and he just says build up to a heavy 1 rep max for the day. So last week I got 185 in the complex. So I
Okay.
would
Wow.
imagine my snatch is more, but I'm content. I'm like, I don't need to test it. This was heavy for the day.
And on this day where you're just doing the machines, will that be a couple hours, an hour, or
It'll just be 1 hour.
okay? And
Short
then
and sweet.
on your other training days, how long are those? Because I mean, some of these guys are talking about training 5, 6 hours a day.
Yeah, I can't do that. My training is very different than most games athletes, but it's very
Yeah,
intentional. So
yeah.
I'll train from like 11:30 to 2:30 and then do nothing and then train 30 more minutes in the evening and that's it.
I mean, I think, well, your results, the fact that you finished third and the fact that you're getting better each year speak to that. It's probably a good strategy. And I wonder, and it's going to be a controversial statement, how many are training too much? And I say that because, like, if you dissect the demands of a given games, I mean,
Right.
in a given day, you're doing 3, 4 at the most workouts, and the total time of all of those could be well under an hour. So
Right.
I get training for sure, technique and mobility and stretching, but I think there might be for some people a point of diminishing returns with the
Right.
amount they're training.
I think, our founding father, Greg, talked about it. Be more impressed with intensity, not volume. And
Yeah.
the intensity part helps me kind of stay healthy all year round instead of
Yep.
like flare up injuries.
And has it you've been doing this for a very long time. Has it always been that way, or did you learn that throughout the journey, through your
I
journey?
learned that. I learned that.
Okay.
So 2014 to 2018 tried to make the games.
Yep.
And it was like, okay, everybody's doing 2 days for 5 hours a day. I need to do 2 days for 5 hours a day. And it just, the results were never there. Changed it to just doing the affiliate class after birth, focusing on really intense 1 hour in the gym. And then, the open rolls around. You just need to go intense once.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals rolls around. You just need to do one a day. So it just kind of worked as I got into it later.
That's awesome. Have you been to your level one?
No, but I have a free level one certificate from getting podium at the games. Me and my husband are about to open an affiliate behind our house.
Oh,
So
congrats.
we're both gonna go get it together, probably after the game settles down
Okay.
and all that.
Where do you live?
Midland, Texas. So we're
Oh.
about 4 hours from Dickies.
Oh, okay. So you're not that far. You're used to the
No.
heat. What do you think about the heat?
Oh, the more events you program outside, I'll be happy. Even in Madison, people would say like, "Oh, it's too hot. I'm overheating," and I'm like, "It's 80 degrees." Like, I would usually thrive outside when it was a little hotter for others, so I love it.
Yeah, it's
It's
definitely gonna
hot.
it's hot. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be hot. We're not doing a ton of events outside. We are clearly doing some events. Obviously,
define define some.
we announced. Well, we know we're doing one. We
Yeah,
announced that evening event at Farrington Field, but
yeah,
at least there the sun's going to be down and it's going to be cooling off. So, or the
yeah.
sun will be on its way down. By the time you guys go, it should be all the way down,
Cool. Yeah,
and
I'm excited
then
for that one.
potentially a few more, or another, or there'll be maybe one to two more, three more outdoors. We'll
You
see.
sound like Dwight from The Office. You're like, could be five more, could be six.
I got to keep some intrigue and
Yeah,
some question in everybody's mind.
I get
Um,
it though, but I appreciate that for the fans because I feel like if you're stuck inside a coliseum all day, like you'd want to get out and see something.
yeah, for sure. Um, Before we go, any questions for me?
I have a request and a question. Um,
Shoot.
what do you think my request is about not announcing any games events until like a week before?
What do I think your request is? Like, you don't want that to happen.
I don't want you to release any. Would you ever
Yeah,
do that?
there's been years where we have done that. I will say this, we are not doing that. And
Yeah,
actually, we're not doing that this year. Um, and actually, we're going to announce something today.
sweet.
So
Okay,
I keep looking at my phone. We're supposed to have announced it right around now because I want to live it with you, but it doesn't
okay,
sound like it. There's a little delay. Um, and historically, we've announced things on 4th of July before. So like, I kind of wanted to, it's a throwback, especially I think back in the day when we announced Murph on 4th of July. At least the first
oh,
year we did it. So I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it was on 4th of July. And so, but I know we've announced a few other things on 4th of July. So kind of wanted to throw back to that. Um, this year, there will be a series of announcements before the games. In years past, we've done some events where all the announcements are at the games. We've gone back and forth. There's a combo of each. I will say this from a fan perspective, from a logistics perspective, from a fan perspective, it creates enthusiasm and an excitement. It gives people something to start talking about, and
okay,
it gives like all of you something to start talking about and prepare for. And oftentimes with the announcements, they're kind of vague. And what I mean by that is like it's clear but not completely clear. Like all the details aren't in place to really like when we announced Murph, you guys knew that you were doing Murph, but like there's a ton of different ways to do Murph. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
which way should I train? Is it 5, 10, 15? Is it 300, 200, 100? The other piece too, besides so the excitement that it creates, it kind of like depressurizes the system for on site. Because when we have done the events where we're announcing everything on site, there's a lot of unknown again for the fans. And then just like all the different announcements that need to happen and all of the pieces that need to fall in place. So this
cool.
year, no. Will we one day have another games where we announce everything in at the event? Sure, but not this year. And I like playing with, and you know how I am. Like if If it becomes too standard, it's time to break it and do it in a different way.
Exactly. Keep them on their toes.
Yep. And the second part of that question?
Oh, yeah. I know how I measure success at the games.
Okay.
Like, if I do good, how do you measure if a games was successful?
Oh, that's a great question. I think if the plan that we put in place prior to the event is executed properly and everything happens, every event plays out the way we planned it or expected it to. And I was going to say that we're on time, but we pretty much never are not on time. So that's an easy part. But that the fan or that the event, that the workouts go as planned. And there's been workouts where that has not happened often. Like even to include that yoke workout that we did on the field one year, where I forgot what it was. It was a couple elements, and then you guys yoked. You
Yeah.
carried a yoke for a certain amount of times, then you went back. But
Yeah.
Tia ended up doing it in one pass, and like that was not at all the intent. Stuff like that happens, and so in that regard, like that single workout to me, like I missed and was off. Others were like, "Hey, it's not a big deal. Tia is just that good." Um, I didn't feel that way about it, but that entirety of that weekend still was a success. The right people were on the podium, and I think that it's a fair and balanced test, and that there's no that the right people are on the podium, and there's no outliers or um, there's no controversy around who's on top. I think it usually is how I view it as a success.
Cool. Okay. So a little bit of people, a little bit of schedule.
Yeah, more of the events though. More of like the actual events relative to the people and relative to the schedule.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you. Keep your eyes on the page today, on the CrossFit Games page, because we're gonna have an announcement.
Something's coming. Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good fourth.
Thanks a lot. You too.
Bye.
Bye.